Hi, my name's Jim Worthington. I'm the owner of the Newtown Athletic Club, and I appreciate you tuning in tonight for a club update. Maybe one of the most important in our history in terms of where we're at, where we're hoping to go, and where we came from, really. There's 5 points I wanted to go over tonight, so buckle up, sit down, and maybe get a drink, because this could be a little while. Hopefully I won't bore you. I want to talk about the months we were closed, what's happened since we've been open. I want to talk about the financial ramifications of the club and future plans, and what we have to consider a new business model for not just the Newtown Athletic Club, but I think the entire industry is faced with the same dilemma. So let me start off on March 15th of this past year, when we got the word from the governor that we were going to shut down the very next day on March 16th. At that time, we were told that that was going to be a couple-week time period to flatten the curve, till the curve flattens. So we basically shut our doors, first time in 42 years, never missed a day since 1978, and we did that willingly and with no problem. We understood, we were ready to do so. 2 weeks was not a big sacrifice, but unfortunately that 2 weeks turned into many more weeks, and at the end it was about 4 months. When we first got the word, we had planned to do what we thought was right, which was to maintain all the employees, which we did. It was only a couple weeks here for payroll. That was a couple $100,000 a year every 2 weeks. But we were willing to do that. That was not an issue. These people have been with us for, many of them, many years. Linda Mitchell, for instance, 42 years. But as things continued to change and the goalposts got moved back, and again, not blaming anybody, nobody knew what to expect. Anybody that knew this would go to this extent, they're either lying or they're psychic. Because the bottom line, nobody would have envisioned this go this far, but we just continued to hold hope and operated our business like it was going to end sooner than later. So with that, we maintained all our full-time employees. Eventually, we got the PPP, which was to help pay for the employees. That was good for the employees. They got fully paid, the full-time people, but unfortunately, they were at home, not able to do anything in the club. And when you're paying people to be at home and you generate no business, again, it's good for them, but it doesn't help the business at all. So when people asked me, did you get the PPP? I said yes, and I was happy we did it, because it kept a lot of people employed. But none of that money went to sustain or help the business, which I think is important for you folks to know. There was nothing out there for our business to be able to get any grant or something that was not forgiven. We were able to get some loans, but when you already owe $35 million on a facility, more loans just get you deeper in the hole. So we continue to fight the fight. We tried to lobby for our industry and make awareness of what we bring to the table and how we thought we could operate effectively and safely. We were able to get to the president and his administration and make a case through my seat on the President's Fitness Council and my relationships with some of the people, such as the Surgeon General, that Jerome Adams, that we could operate safely, in fact more safely than probably anybody, because we already had cleaning protocols and things, because we are, quote, health clubs. And I think anything, if we say one thing about the NAC, we are meticulous on our cleaning protocols and the amount of people that we had cleaning even before this. So we were able, through those contacts, to get many of the states opened up in the United States on May 1st. Unfortunately, we weren't one of those. The Governor Wolf had decided at the time that we weren't ready to go, which was fine. And again, but unfortunately, even after writing all the guidelines, and we wrote the guidelines for the entire global fitness industry through Jerome Adams and the CDC, it was frustrating because even though we demonstrated why we should be open, Pennsylvania came very, very late. In fact, June 29th. On June 6th, we were actually given the go-ahead to open the club for the outdoor escape pool, which you can see right behind me. That enabled us to allow members to come back, but I didn't feel comfortable charging the members because that was only part of the club. And frankly, not every member uses the outdoor pool complex. So I made the decision at that time not to charge dues. On June 15th, after being disappointed that we weren't getting any information back from the state in regards to when we would open up, and in support of other local businesses that had encouraged me to take a stand, I opened up our club on June 15th fully with the understanding that exercise is medicine and what we contribute to people's health and well-being was something that I needed to stand up for, and that the understanding at the state level, both with the Health Secretary Rachel Levine and the governor, did not have an understanding of the things we do in terms of building immunity. 80% of chronic disease is cured by exercise, good nutrition, no smoking, limited drinking. We just believe we were part of the solution. So anyway, we opened up on June 15th. We did not again charge, and we were officially open on June 29th. During that time period, we had spent $3 million in construction because I didn't want it to stop, and frankly, I didn't know when we were going to give the go-ahead. So once we started, they were proceeds that came directly out of my pocket. At that point, the bank felt uncomfortable because they didn't know the direction of the business. They decided they would give us no more loans. So that gives you the 4 months of the update of that. During that time, we sustained revenue losses of in excess of $7 million. So that was $7 million that was just gone, that we wouldn't be able to collect. And I always get a kick out of when people say, well, you're going to make that up. I mean, that's just preposterous. You don't make up a $7 million revenue loss in the 4 months. So it was crippling to our industry at the same time that I was spending $3 million. So it was really a $10 million hit. So we opened up. So here's what I'm going to tell you about some of the things when we opened up and some of the studies in the industry. 135 clubs had opened up at one point. There was 3.5 million visits. During that time, there was 131 cases that were reported of health club members. Not one was traced back to a health club. That's one study. The Oslo study found that there was no increase in COVID-19 spreading at training facilities, provided they provided good hygiene and social distancing. Another study of 347 health clubs in 18 states who were open an average of 27 days showed that one employee, a front desk employee, tested positive for COVID out of 347 health clubs. So since we've opened, not only is our club, and by the way, our club has never had a case of COVID or anything traced back, and health clubs are probably the only business of all that can trace back. We check people in and out of the club. So unlike other businesses, whether it's Walmart or your local grocery store or Starbucks, they don't get your name, they don't check you in. We can check this in and be correct on our facts better than any industry in America, and there's no, it's something like 0.004% in the health club sphere. What else have we done since we've been open? We've continued the construction. It's still going on right now. We've opened our summer camp, which we had a record last week and this week amount of participants. Families are thrilled. It's always been a phenomenal camp. We provide all the guidelines to do all the right things. So there's a number of things. The pool's been open. The health club itself has never been busier in the sense that the people that are coming are coming more than they did before in terms of per week visits. So the club is actually, I can't say busy because it's not as many people that have came back, but it's certainly well attended and people are utilizing it to a great degree. So that gives you the update on the club. We continue to upgrade our sanitation requirements. We have round-the-clock cleaning procedures. We are very confident that we are leading the industry in that realm. Number 3 is the financial ramifications of where we are today. And by the way, if you have any questions, please send them in. I'll answer them here at the end if you do have any. The financial ramifications of opening have been significant. In fact, there are clubs that once they opened, the downturn was so bad that they've actually decided to close until either there's a vaccine or the coronavirus's fear is for the general population is less than it is now. Frankly, because every day you're open, including us, you lose money. And it's easier sometimes just to be closed and lose less money than it is to lose a lot of money because you have all the expenses of operating. So I want to give you a little bit of facts here and tell you where we are. We started this Corona with we had a record year, the best year ever in 2019 as far as membership, all our ancillary revenues, with personal training, all the things that help pay the bills around here. We're going full blast. It was perfect timing because in the last 3 years, I've spent $10 million upgrading our facilities. By the way, all that money that we're, quote, making was getting dropped right back into the club, which is fine. My goal was to be the best health club in the world, and I think we're certainly considered one of the top 3 or 4 now. And we were on the verge of, upon completing these renovations that I had planned, which was again a 5-year plan, and we were in the second or third year of it, was going to land us there at the end of that time. But unfortunately, we've gone from 5,300 memberships in March 15th of this year to 4,000 memberships. That may not seem a lot to you, but that's really a $2 million decrease in just revenue for dues. Now, it's important to understand this, and again, this is just to give you knowledge of how our business works. The NAC's the most expensive club in the area. There's no question about that. Unfortunately, of the $17 million that is required to operate the NAC, the expenses every year, half of that, 60% of that, comes from dues. So about $9 or $10 million of the 17,000 basically comes from membership dues. So 40% of the operating expenses are covered by all the other ancillary revenue. Okay, personal training, salon and spa, your guest fees out here at the pool, which we just eliminated again. Food and beverage, though they're low margins, it still helps a little bit. Unfortunately, all those things have been wiped out at the same time that our dues. Even if we had collected all our dues, we would be paying 60% of our bills. With the decrease of 4,000 to 4,000 memberships, that's another $200,000 a month that we're not collecting. So now 50% of the expenses are paid by the dues with no ancillary revenue to speak of. Well, how do you make it work? You don't. You just lose money. And when I say you lose money, it means that I have to go and find other ways, whether it be liquidating my 401k and retirement account, which I've done, selling properties that I have that are all for sale now. I refuse to sell my home or the NAC. And again, I'm not trying to cry poor to you. What I'm trying to do is get you an idea of what's not only happening in my club, but what's happening in the industry. They suspect at the end of this thing, somewhere in the not too distant future, 35 to 40% of all health clubs will be out of business. There's already been a whole bunch of them I can name that are now gone or have filed bankruptcy that are not coming back. The NAC's not going out of business, frankly, because I owe $35 million and the bank can't allow me to go out of business because there's no other operators in the world that are as good as us, so who are they going to give it to make work? They've got the best staff in the industry right here. If we can't make it work, no one can work. But they have decided they're not going to lend us any more money. So we are losing money every day. There has been discussions about if we did shut down and just waited out for a vaccine, we would lose some money, but nowhere near what we're losing now. I'm not going to lie to you, I have considered it, but I will not do it. One way or another, I will continue to absorb the losses, but it is, instead of losing $100,000 or $200,000 a month by shutting down, that's about what we would lose. We're probably losing $400,000 to $500,000 a month right now open. So again, I'm just trying to give you a constant idea where we're at because that will affect where we're going and what we're trying to do. Frankly, this model's unsustainable. Cafe is not open because there's limitations there from the health department. 90% of our personal training has not come back because many of those people are aged and they don't feel comfortable, even though we do have areas in the club that are mask only and could be used. We've eliminated things as recently, tried even something as simple as guests on the weekend this weekend. And it was one of those busy weekends and the members were not happy with the guests. We probably collected $4,000 or $5,000 this Saturday and Sunday, which was every little bit helps because the members felt not safe. We've now eliminated that. We're glad to do that. We're glad to be loyal and support you, but you know that's another $5,000 that pays for bills. We need about $1.5 million a month to pay our bills. Just so you know, $1.4 million to $1.5 million. $5,000 won't make a difference, but it's certainly $5,000 less that we got to go find somewhere. Some of the things that hurt us is that every time the governor comes out with a thing like on Friday when he restricted the restaurants, which I understand if he needs to, well, I don't understand that to be honest with you, but let's just assume I did, that 25% made sense. Every time he comes out, they come out with bad news, we get another 100, 150 people freeze our membership. By the way, when I say we're down 1,300 memberships, what I mean by that is they didn't quit. Say 300 of them quit, which is normal, about 100 a month because they relocate and move. But there was 1,000 people that don't right now feel safe and comfortable coming back. We respect them. We're not saying that we think we're doing everything we can to make them feel safe. In fact, we're setting up now outdoor fitness components where you'll be able to train outside. We've already started boot camps outside. We're doing small group training outside. We have the back gym right next to me here where there's probably a handful of people in there every day. It's 11,000 square feet. Techno gym is virtually empty, mask only. The classes have been reduced in terms of the amount of people by half. So we're doing everything we can, but unless a person feels comfortable, we understand. We'll be here when you're ready. We're hoping you're going to be ready sooner than later, though, because it's killing us. But we get it. We don't want to kill anybody. So it's your decision, but again, I want to tell you where we are. So let's go to the future. You've heard the sad story of finances. We are getting pummeled. Oh, and one last thing. We're a business that typically does about $20 million a year. And those that did the math early, the $17 million in our expenses, the $3 million that we, quote, makes, goes back into all the renovations of the $10 million that I put in over the last 3 years. So literally there's been hardly any money that's, quote, profit. You see it. This new entrance, the new wing, phase 1, which is the mind-body area and pulse and all that. That was a $7 million project alone. Where are we now? We are in the midst of the women's locker room. We hope to have that done September 1. We continue to plow ahead. That's a $2.5 million project. We're $2 million into it. I've given them the go-ahead to continue. There's another $500,000 left. I will tell you that locker room will be nothing short of spectacular. It will be the finest in the fitness industry, bar none. There will be nothing like it. I've committed to get that done, whether I gotta rob my piggy bank or whatever I need to do, we're going to get that done. If you notice, when you come into the club, the whole center section of the club was demoed. That's where the old spin studio was, Studio 2, and Studio 1. It's all closed up now. That is another $1.8 million. I don't have the money to finish that. I've committed to do the new spin studio. That will be somewhere in the neighborhood of $600,000 to $700,000. That is underway now. We will work on that in hopes to get that done in the next 4 months. I'm committed to do that. That's where I was a good saver for my retirement from the time I was 21 on. So that money in the locker room is coming from my retirement funds to make that work. So that there is about $1.3 million left in construction that needs to be done. I'm committed to that. At the moment, I cannot do what will be the new Techno Gym, which is where the spin studio was. I can't do the bar. That's another $1 million. That's off the table. The current women's locker room, which used to be the old men's locker room that has the sauna and steam, that was part of getting done this year. That's a $2 million plus project. That will not be done. I do not have the funds to do that. That means the men will not get back the sauna and steam room. It's virtually impossible to get that done. I wish I could tell you different. That would be another $3.7 million that we would need to do that. And I don't have a bank that will lend me that money. And I don't have it. The European spa that we were so excited about, which was going to be at the end of the pool, that was going to be the 3 bodies of water that you could access from the men's and women's locker room. That and the pool, the indoor pool, which we had budgeted $1.5 million for. Again, all part of projects that were going to be done this year and next year based on the cash flow of the business. They're scrapped for who knows how long. So that's another 5.2 total $1 million in funding that I cannot get to finish those projects. So we have invested over the last 2.5 years $10 million. I had another $6 million minimum scheduled for this year and next that I just can't do. Phase 3, which was the new front on the building, which was another $4 million, which was going to start in 2021, mid-2021, obviously is scrapped if we can't finish phase 2. So we've had $8 to $9 million worth of projects sitting out there that I think would have put us as the #1 health club in the world. I guess we'll just stay number 2, 3, or 4 for now, but that wasn't the plan. I'm disappointed. Hopefully you understand. I'm sure some of you guys are disappointed. It was funny. I had a member come up to me yesterday as I was leaving the club. He said, "Jim, when's that sauna and steam room going to be done?" I kind of looked at him and said, "I'm not sure it's going to be done in the next year or 2." And he looked at me in disbelief, and then I explained to him, you know, we lost $7 million in the last 4 months. We're losing $500,000 a month now, and no bank will lend me the money to finish the project. I liquidated my IRA, my retirement account, to the tune of 7 figures. I've got everything I've got for sale that I own other than my home and the NAC, and there's just no way to get blood out of a stone. You know, some people say I'm a little bit too transparent, but I think after 42 years of working my entire life to build what I think is one of the top clubs in the world, that, you know, transparency is needed at this time. When you consider the health club industry has probably been impacted by more than any other industry that got shut down in this thing. Remember, we couldn't do curbside takeout. No offense to the restaurant industry, I feel bad for those folks. There was no way to create revenue when we were shut down completely, and now we're operating at half the revenue we used to. So here's where we're at. The NAC, just like all other businesses, and particularly in the health club industry, has to reinvent their business model. There's no way we can sustain what we're doing now. Nobody can tell us when COVID will go away. Nobody can tell me that, if I knew it was going to go 3 months from now, I could budget for it. But we've been yo-yoed back and forth so many times. Nobody trusts the information. Nobody is clear on what's going to happen. And frankly, the people that count the most, the banks, aren't going to take a risk once you owe $35 million to lend you more, because they're seeing other clubs in the industry shut down. They're seeing them operate at less than 50% of revenue that they used to 5 months ago. And they're concerned that they're going to get paid back. And I don't blame them. So what do? We have 4,000 members. You already know that half the bills are paid by membership dues. A lot of clubs are raising their dues. I'm sure you folks don't want to hear that. I'm not sure that's in the cards for us, but certainly that is what other people are doing. They're raising their dues. And granted, we are one of the most expensive clubs. But as you know, you can see the dues don't cover the expenses. They never did. So, and being all-inclusive, we don't charge for things like yoga and hot yoga and all those other things. It's something that needs to be considered. I don't think that we're going to do that. Certainly not at this time. Other clubs charge a facility fee once a year. This is intriguing. A facility fee they charge, that money then is designated for construction, new equipment, expansion, whatever. Well, you guys know nobody's in more of an expansion mode than me. And I will tell you this, there's no club I know in the industry, and I know them all, as chairman of IRSA, the largest trade association in the world, and someone who's lobbying in Washington right now for our industry domestically. There's nobody that spent the money I did. I know chains that didn't spend the money I did. Chains of clubs. We are one club spending millions of dollars. No one has done that. So I think that's an intriguing idea. And the way that would work is there's a surcharge, a one-time surcharge, whether it's $50, $200 per membership. All that money goes to into the construction. None of it to operating expenses, to keep the construction going so that we can continue things. I am certainly looking at that hard. Some of the other things, and I said to you earlier, that 30 to 40% of all clubs are going out of business. We are doing everything we can to generate revenues. I'll give you an example of some creative thinking. I've got good information that the school districts will probably, for the most part, go virtual. I'm pretty sure that will happen. We are going to offer right here in our field house, as well as the NAC facility and our preschool, the opportunity for parents to have their kids come here during the day so they can go back to work. Dual income parents or families that have one working parent, but the wife or the father that stays home would be able to utilize our facilities for their kids to either come 9 to 3 to be supervised in a school setting, so they get their schooling here at the NAC. We have certified teachers on our staff that can help them with an early drop-off program from 7 to 9, and then a late pickup from 3 to 6 if needed. We will be rolling out the pricing for that tomorrow. We are sure that there's no one in anywhere that can offer the facilities and programming. Imagine if your kids were here and they were able to swim and do recreation. It's almost like a summer camp, but it's during the school year. We'll have tables and chairs set up for them to do their homework and to be able to be supervised so that you can, in a safe setting, more so than anything, with masks and all the things you need to make sure that you can go to work. So that's something we're doing that will create some revenue. If you know people that are, I don't know anybody doing anything, so I have no idea what you folks are going to do with your kids, but we're here. It's going to be Wednesday. We're going to roll it out. They're going to take deposits. It's limited. I'm telling you now, we can't take 500 kids. but we can take a fair amount of kids. So if you're interested in that, look for that email tomorrow. We're going to do an outdoor facility. We're hoping some of the people that back in the day, we named it the Hard Yard. When I was going to build it, I don't know what the heck the staff's going to name it. Doug Sharp, who heads up the fitness department now with Paul Russian and a few other guys, are going to set up facilities outside with a tent so you can get out of the sun, so that people that are COVID fearful could go out there, and also people that just want to go out and work out outside. We're setting that up as we speak. Hopefully we'll get some more members back. We are doing everything we can to encourage the people that are fearful to come back. We're reaching out to them, we're calling them, we're trying to ease their mind. So these are all the things, but right now we are basically a business that used to do 20 million, that's projected to do 12 million with business expenses of 17 million. So I'm pretty good in math. I think that's $5 million. Now, we're not looking to lay off all our employees. I'm proud to say we've kept all our full-time employees. But frankly, and yes, there has been somewhat of a reduction in payroll, because if you don't have as many, personal trainers, then you don't have that expense, but then you don't have the income either. So that's a double-edged sword. So we are in a bind. There's no question about that. We are working to get our way out of it. We felt that we were loyal along the way, and we feel that you've been loyal for so many years, and we've tried to keep the club open. We've done everything we can to improve upon it when you were gone. I think those that came back and see the things we've done, the new entrance and all the other things and what we have in construction, I can't tell you how many people have come up to thank me for being open and giving the month of June free and all those things. And I just felt that was the right thing to do. But what we're really hoping in the staff is that you folks will show us a little bit of loyalty as well, and understand our situation, and understand when we have to serve a hot dog with a drink for $1. It's not because we want to, it's because we have rules now that are mandated by the state that says we can't serve you a drink unless you buy a hot dog, which is crazy, because I don't know why you can't get a drink without that stupid hot dog, but the fact of the matter, that's the only way we can stay open. And things like no guests and all those things are to make sure that we protect you and make sure you have a good experience. Our number one commitment is to you. I think we've just demonstrated that. But we're hoping that this 42 years of goodwill and support from you, you'll understand where we're at. And when we do come to some type of determination on what we need to exist, to stay in business, to not shut down, to continue to, even if we don't continue the construction, I'm fine with that. But I mean, we need to be able to at least pay our bills now as we are now. We're going to need your support and understanding on that. And what can you do? I mean, if you have members that aren't here, encourage them to come back. If we come up with something that's some fee or something like that, understand it's because we have to do it. We have no choice. We have to reinvent ourselves like everybody else is, to stay viable, to keep a nice club, to be able to keep it up, to be in good repair, and we really need your support. So, I mean, I don't know if there's any questions, Taylor. If there is, she'll read them off, and then I'll answer them. Do you have any?
Mm-hmm. Will the kids be able to do online school while at the NAC?
Good question. Will the kids be able to do online school at the NAC? Yeah, that's the whole purpose. They're going to come here, and the whole school day will be just basically, instead of your living room or instead in that classroom, it's going to come here. We're going to break them into age groups. We're even going to try to break them into schools in terms of what school they go to, so they can be with their friends. And we will supervise it. We have a preschool. We have Amanda Sinkler has an education degree. Many of the people on our staff do. We're going to help them. We're going to help them with after-school tutoring. But yes, this is going to be a regular a structured school day with all the bells and whistles that you don't get anywhere at your house or anywhere else, because we'll be able to do recreation, swimming, basketball for those that are interested and parents don't have a problem with it. All kinds of things that we'll be able to do. I mean, for God's sake, we even have food service here. So if they need a lunch, a hot lunch, we can make that for them. I can tell you there'll be no, and by the way, we've consulted with educators at the principal level and otherwise, and the superintendent of the schools to formulate this. This has been in the work for 2 months. We had intelligence saying this could happen, and we always seem to get a little bit more information to the, if you follow me on Facebook, you know that I usually have stuff before everybody else. So this is an example. We will have an exemplary program that you will be very satisfied with. Do we have any other questions?
When will kids between younger than 3 be allowed back in the kids club?
So kids younger than 3 back in kids club, there's a problem there because the state mandate is 1-to-1. So as we're going broke, it's hard to have someone come in for an hour and a half and us pay a staff member, say, $20 for that hour and a half while we're watching one kid. Remember, you know, if you came in a couple times a week. So it's virtually impossible for us to offer that because it has to be a one-to-one. So that's a state mandate, and we just can't afford that. People have come to us and said, you know, why don't you increase the nursery hours? We increase it and nobody shows up. They said, well, why don't you increase it on Friday night for Friday Night Live? We offer it, 2 kids show up. You know, we would love to offer to have a bunch of people go out to the pool and at least pay, you know, in the volume of drinks, pay for, or food, pay for the cost of the parent, of the people that are watching the kids, but we're not even coming close to that. So, I mean, we're just not seeing the demand there, and the few people that want it, even when they say they want it, they don't show up. So it's really frustrating. Do we have any other questions?
I think we're good.
Well, listen, I just beat your ear for I don't know how long. How long was that?
40 minutes.
So I just want to leave you on this. I don't want you to think that this is, I mean, people that have known me for 42 years that have been members here know that I've always, the glass is always half full. We always rally. In 2008, 9, 10, when we had a recession, I expanded the club, the outdoor pool, spent money when nobody else did. But this is not a recession. This is not something that you can count that there's going to be a cycle and you're going to come out of. We don't know if COVID's going to be here 8 months from now, a year from now, and 3 months from now. And more important, it's not what I think, it's what my bank thinks. And as long as they don't have a comfort level with operations, there's just no way to make this work in the present format. So I'm asking you folks, as we try to come up with a plan here, because we wanted to wait a month, things are not coming back the way we had hoped. Who knows, maybe we'll get some good news, and you know, I can assure you, when it bounces back, you'll be the first to know, because everybody knows that this is a passion for Linda Mitchell and I. We've been doing this at the NAC for 42 years. We believe that what we do contributes not just to this community, not just to Pennsylvania. We believe the product that we put out there contributes not only to the United States, but the whole global fitness industry. We are an icon in the industry, believe it or not. We are one of the most respected handful of clubs in the world. And I'm proud to say that. If it's bragging, so be it. But our life's mission has never been about making a ton of money. It's been about being the best. And one last thing I will tell you that's been a casualty of this, which is sad, our foundation, Have a Heart, which really a lot of the money we also make goes into that to help, whether it's ALS or families in need or all the other people, the 20 or 30 people a week that were prior to COVID were asking for donations. Our foundation is on its knees. We're still, I will tell you this, we're still giving free memberships to people that come in and have financial need. We haven't stopped that. But the money that we raise to help people in need has slowed up tremendously. One, because I guess they're not feeling as charitable because of their situation. And two, because I'm not making any money to throw back into it, and a lot of the money that goes into that foundation comes from me. So these are all the ramifications and the things, and not to get too long-winded, but think about the amount of money that we pay in taxes to the federal government and all the other things that are no longer available. When business hurts like this, it affects everybody. And I'm sad to say that we are being hurt more than nobody could have ever dreamt this. It's a nightmare that I just had hoped that we'd wake up one day and it's going to be gone, but it just hasn't. So, look, if you didn't have any questions now, send them in through Facebook. We'll answer them all. Taylor, our marketing director, is great. We'll get through this one way or another. I'll make it work. I always do, but I really, really need your help and support, and the staff needs your help and support. And I'm going to also make one other promise. No staff members are going to be furloughed. Not one.